So, let me guess. You tried ChatGPT a few times. It wrote your wedding speech, helped you plan a keto meal, and maybe even told you how to break up with your ex. No judgment. But now, you're hearing things like AI agents, AI workflows, AI tools, and you're wondering, wait, did I miss the part where we went full sci fi? I was exactly the same. Don't worry, I got you. I am not an AI engineer. I did not come from Google. I came from Googling. I'm just someone who likes building cool stuff that works. So today I am breaking it all down. The difference between AI tools, AI workflows, and AI agents using real life relatable examples and zero text-plaining. Now let's jump straight into it. First one, AI tools. These are your basic smart digital bots. You give them a task, they give you an output. So, what do they actually do? They take your question, search through everything they know, and spit out an answer. That's it, one and done. Ask ChatGPT, for example, to write your resignation letter. Done. Ask Midjourney to draw a snail riding a unicorn. Done. You give it an input, it gives you an output. Real life example, you are at a party chatting with your friend Sarah. She is a travel agent. You asked, where shall I go for my next holiday next week? She gives you her best guess. She suggests Bali because the time of the year, etc. She's giving you a response based on what's in her memory and her experience. That's a regular AI tool. Helpful? Yes. But she's not checking flight prices or weather. She's just relying on what she has in her system, which is her memory. AI tools are passive. They don't act. They don't plan. They're like super smart assistants who sit there until you ask, can you help me with this? Also, they don't have access to external data. For example, if I ask ChatGPT, could you please tell me what's the weather like in Paris this weekend? It cannot give me that type of information because it does not have access to weather tools or internet. So if I give it access to a weather tool, for example, using API, it can give me an answer. So an API, think of it as giving your AI permission to use another app. It's like saying, hey, you are allowed to talk to this weather tool. Go check the weather. And that's when we hear words like RAG, which is retrieved augmented generation. And that's basically just a fancy word for saying letting your AI look stuff up in real time before it answers. So, going back to our Sarah analogy, it's the next day, she's back at her desk, logged into her systems. Now she's got access to real-time data, internet, her database. So she calls you and she says, Bali is usually perfect this time of year, but I saw in our database that the resort I recommended yesterday is under renovation. So I'd recommend this one instead. Or even Sri Lanka, as they have some great offers that just came up this morning. So now, because Sarah has access to her systems, she can give you an answer based on real-time information. Now, for example, if I ask ChatGPT to check the best flights to Paris this weekend after checking the weather, no access. After I give it access to flight bookings, then it can check the data I need. You get the point. So now, no matter how many tools you give ChatGPT access to, whether it's the weather, calendar, bookings, spreadsheets, your dog's Instagram, as long as it's following a predefined set of steps that you mapped out, that's called an AI workflow. So an AI workflow follows a predetermined series of steps that you, as the human, had to set up. It's like creating a digital domino effect where each action triggers the next one. So after checking the weather, book my flight to Paris, then book me a hotel, then a taxi, and please, I'd like to have dinner somewhere with my friend. And don't forget to also book a table at a nightclub for us to dance. Workflows rely on if this, then that logic. If you don't plan for a condition, it won't respond in the way you probably would like it to. In more advanced systems, you can build fallback logic, error handling, and branching, but that's still manual, and let's not get into that for the sake of this presentation today. So basically, the system itself isn't making smart choices. You are. You need to manually change things if there is an unexpected delay in the flight that was not considered in the initial instructions, or it might book you a hotel that doesn't have good reviews, or book you a steakhouse if you are vegan. So unless you explicitly put everything in your predefined instructions, the workflow will need you as a human to iterate. So to sum up, workflows follow a fixed set of instructions. If something unexpected happens, like delays or so on, as I explained earlier, the workflow won't know and might still go ahead with sometimes the wrong actions. So you, the human, have to handle edge cases. Workflows need your input, iterate or fix issues if they were not programmed to handle them. So if we would like the workflow to run fully on its own without us jumping in every time something changes, we need to move beyond just executing steps and start building something that can think. Something that can understand the goal, adapt when things don't go to plan, make decisions on the fly, and keep working towards the outcome without constant human input. In other words, we need an AI agent. Now, AI agents, what are they? They are digital beings with some level of independence and decision-making ability. Agents don't need step-by-step instructions. You give them the goal and they figure out the how. They understand your goal, then figure out the steps needed to accomplish it. They can adapt when things don't go as planned, learn from past experiences, and even use multiple tools to get the job done. An AI agent works because it combines a few things. Brain, like ChatGPT, it needs external data, it needs tools to actually do stuff. Memory, so it remembers your preferences, and clear instructions, which we call prompts. So now, it's not just reacting, it's thinking, planning, and acting. The brain, what does it do? An AI agent's brain, like ChatGPT, Claude, or whatever LLM, large language model. So what it basically does, it understands your request, breaks it down, and figures out the steps to take. It understands you need trip to Paris with specific tasks involved, like flight, hotel, restaurant, etc. Memory. The AI agent remembers past trips, your preferences like favorite airline, hotel chain, or cuisine from previous interactions you had with it in the past. External knowledge. So the AI agent accesses external data via APIs to gather real-time information. Calendar API, it checks your calendar for availability and selects the appropriate date. Weather API, it fetches the weather forecast to Paris to make sure you pack accordingly. Flight API, example, Skyscanner for available flights. Tools. So the AI agent uses tools like APIs or other softwares to execute tasks. It interacts with the Calendar API to confirm your availability. For example, it uses flight booking APIs to reserve your seat and hotel booking tools to finalize your accommodation. It schedules a taxi ride with a service like Uber and books a table at a restaurant through a booking app. So prompt instructions that you gave guides the AI agent's behavior and logic. So for example, if we give an AI travel agent a simple prompt like, can you help me book a trip to Paris next weekend? Check my calendar, the weather, book a flight, hotel, taxi, and restaurant, nightclub for the evening. The AI agent then takes that instruction and uses its brain, memory, knowledge, and tools to carry out the task. So how does it actually do it? So, unlike the workflow, when the AI agent is given a prompt, instead of going and looking at the next action, I'm just going to go from A to B to C to D and execute tasks. The AI agent basically thinks of the best way to execute that task. So the AI agent then starts thinking, okay, first, are they even free this weekend? If yes, then find flights. Once I know the flight time, I'll pick a hotel nearby, and only then I can reserve a dinner spot that works. The agent remembers past trips, the interactions to base their decisions on those. So it looks up your past calendar events, it fetches the weather information through the API and just to make sure you pack accordingly. But you might book a restaurant at a place you've enjoyed in the past or new highly rated spots, nightclub, through booking APIs like OpenTable and so on. So for example, for your flight to Paris, it finds two flights. Flight A, $120, 10-hour total with long layover. Flight B, $170, direct, arrives earlier. The AI agent starts then reasoning, yes, flight A is cheaper, but has a 6-hour layover. The agent then remembers that you previously rated long layovers poorly. Flight B is only $50 more, but it is direct and arrives earlier. The agent memory includes you prefer direct flights, you're okay spending a bit more for comfort, you've avoided low-rated airlines in the past, you once left a 1-star review for Air Skimpy after a nightmare connection decision. So choose Flight B. The AI agent then makes the decision to choose Flight B, prioritizing comfort over budget based on your behavior and your preferences. Then it moves to action, booking Flight B, adds confirmation to calendar, and so on for everything else. It checks the weather in Paris and adjusts the trip details. Example, adds an umbrella if it's raining. If the first flight option isn't available, it doesn't ask you. Instead, it automatically searches for alternative options and makes the best choices. Reserves a restaurant according to your past dining preferences or your favorite cuisine. Books the hotel based on your past preferences. For example, 4 stars near Eiffel Tower. Books a taxi to pick you up when you land and adjusts the timing based on flight delays. If there is bad weather in Paris, the agent might change the outdoor restaurant bookings into a nearby indoor restaurant. Once the task is initiated, the AI agent works independently, making decisions and carrying out actions without waiting for your approval. And you receive final confirmations such as your trip to Paris is all set. Flight booked, hotel confirmed, restaurant and nightclub reservations are made, taxi waiting for you at 8 p.m. Whatever. And yeah, I get it. All of this, it's equal parts exciting and just a little terrifying. But that's how every big innovation feels at first. The internet, smartphones, even electricity. It's not what it is. It's how we choose to use it. AI isn't the end of the world. It's the beginning of a new way of working, thinking, and building. Of course, like any powerful tool, it needs the right safeguards, the right boundaries, the right people, pushing for the right kind of regulation to keep it fair, ethical, and human.